Breaking news this Wednesday evening as Louisville City Schools have announced their newest head football coach, multi-OAC Assistant Coach of the Year at Mount Union, and he was most recently the 2022 AFCA FCS Assistant Coach of the Year at Austin Peay, Coach Chris Kappas. Hello everyone, I'm Tegan Evans and this is the Straga Media Network. Without further delay, let's go over to Jon Aljancic with the Leopard Lair at Thomas Dental Studios for the exclusive introduction live interview with the Leopards' new head coach, Coach Kappes.
Thanks a lot, Tegan. Really appreciate it. Well, hey, I'm your host, Jon Aljancic, and welcome to the Leopard Lair. And tonight, as always, we have a exciting show for you tonight, but more importantly, this one's a pretty special one because it's my pleasure to get to introduce you to the 17th man who's going to be the head of the Louisville football program. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to one Mr. Chris Kappas. And to kind of give you a background of Chris, and as we get to know him tonight, just to give you an idea, Chris has been in the college coaching profession for 15 years in terms of, including 12 years at Mount Union beginning in 2008, where he coached a bunch of different positions, including being the special teams coordinator, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, winning national championships under each of those posts, being the two-time OAC Assistant Coach of the Year, as well as in 2015 being the footballscoop.com Division III National Coordinator of the Year. So some incredible resume as he went throughout Mount Union with a brief stop at Bowling Green as a grad assistant. And then for the past 3 seasons, being a coach at Austin Peay State University, which is a Division I, or actually an FCS Division I school, for the first year being the defensive coordinator, and for the last 2 years also slapping on the assistant head coach tag. So quite an impressive resume. And most recently at Austin Peay, just this past year, being named the American Football Coaches Association Division I FCS Assistant Coach of the Year. So quite an honor. We are excited to have him. And Chris Kappas, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about this opportunity and excited to get things rolling here.
Well, in a football crazy city here, as much as we want to hear about you as Chris Kappas as the coach, I want to start first of all and kind of know more about Chris Kappas, the man. So can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. So my wife, Krista, she grew up in Columbiana, Ohio, and then we met at Mount Union, where she played a little bit of basketball up there, and then we started dating, and then had our first child back in 2017, and now we have 2. So we have a 5-year-old Kobe and a 2-year-old Lily. And my wife she's a physical therapist, and she graduated from Mount Union, then Youngstown State, and then we actually lived in Louisville for about 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, while I was coaching at Mount Union. So we're very familiar with the town here. Obviously very familiar with with Louisville football and Stark County football. So just really excited about getting moving our family back here to Louisville to really embrace this community and really get this football program turning at a high level again.
Awesome. Now you played football at Mount Union from 2005 to 2007, winning 2 national championships and being a runner-up. Your wife played basketball at Mount Union. Who's the better athlete?
Well, I would have to say she is, but really I am. No,
this guy's off to a good start.
She's
now.
she is a tremendous athlete, and she can shoot with the best of them.
Okay.
We would always play pickup games while I was coaching them out, and she'd want to join in, and she comes out, and when I get the ball, I'm passing to her because she's shooting the threes. And her dad was a high school basketball coach and everything, so she is a tremendous athlete. So.
Well, now I know I kind of read through your resume a little bit, and quite impressive. I did find one blemish, though, ladies and gentlemen, which I hate to break, kind of a breaking news story, but he is from Pittsburgh. So please don't hold that against him. But I hear you're a pretty good high character guy. But tell us a little bit more, like just winning the National Coach of the Year at the FCS Division I level, an extremely high honor. What led you to come back to Stark County this year, and obviously to head the Louisville Leopard football program?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a decision that really benefits my family. In the short term and the long term. This is a program that obviously, like I said, we lived here for a few years. We know the community I always enjoyed living here and the people here, and knew the tradition of football here in Louisville. And when I saw that this job had opened up, I'd always said, like, high school football is something that I might want to tackle. And it was perfect timing. A lot of stars aligned to kind of help make this happen. But I think it's a great opportunity for me to bring my family back to an area where I know my children are going to grow up in a community that is going to help them blossom into good, productive people in a good school system. Where we be close to my family from Pittsburgh, her family from Columbiana, and just a great place to raise family. And like I said, it's an awesome football community too. So that's what brought us back.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we kind of touched upon some of your successes as a coach, and between a coach and a player, winning 5 national titles and being a runner-up 6 times. But kind of share with us some of those. We've talked about some coaching highlights, but kind of share some highlights that maybe aren't on this resume, maybe both on and off the field, that you're really proud of as a coach.
Sure. And I think some of the stuff off the field would be first, and these are things as the head coach at Louisville, that things that we're gonna really build upon. In terms of, it's not just going to be results on the field, it's going to be results off the field. So, just a part of the award that I was able to win this year, the FCS Assistant Coach of the Year, and that couples in the things that you're doing in the community, and the ways that you're helping your program other than just on the field statistics. So there's some factors in there, like for instance, the last our staff was at Austin Peay for 4 semesters. And 3 of those semesters, we reset the team GPA record three times in the 4 semesters there, with the highest one being a 3.28 GPA. So I think that's very important, that it's not just about football for these guys, that we are going to be really on them in terms of achieving high standards and having high expectations for themselves. In all areas of their life. So that's one thing. And I've done a ton of community service type deals at since we've been at Mount Union to Austin Peay. I think that's a big one, that you're a part of a community, and now at a high school you're even a bigger part of a community in terms of being the high school in town. And I think that'll be a huge part of really being involved in the community and serving. So those are just a few of the things off the field there that I can certainly take a lot of pride in, and will certainly continue to grow those areas as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, being a part of some great staffs, either at Mountain Union, your stop at Bowling Green, where I believe over the course of the years that you were there, and kind of sandwiched between a couple other years, I think you guys won at least 3 more games each year for like 3 or 4 consecutive years. So obviously a great staff there. Going back to Mount Union and then going to Austin Peay, being a part of some incredible staffs. Can you kind of share with us maybe some coaching influences that really impacted you? I mean, obviously you played and coached under the legendary Larry Kappes at Mount, but if you could kind of maybe expound upon that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been super blessed to play for some great coaches, to coach with some great coaches. It's going back to my days at Mount Union. Obviously, Larry Kappes, who's one of my biggest mentors, and actually stopped up there today. And when I, just got a chance to sit down and talk with him for about 2 hours today, just listen to him tell stories and, reminisce about days when I was playing and when I was coaching there. Just an amazing person, first of all, that, for as good of a coach as he is and was, that, the type of person he is, and the type of person that, he cares for the players. He cares for the guys that coach for him. And he's a guy that you could call at any time of the day, and he'd be there to help you out. But guys that were on the staff when I was playing at Mount Union, Vince Karras, who's the defensive coordinator at Toledo, who was also became the head coach when Larry retired, who I was able to, coach under for a couple years up there and win some championships with there too. He's a huge role model of mine. Matt Campbell, head coach at Iowa State, was the offensive coordinator when I was playing. Jason Candle, head coach at Toledo, was the offensive coordinator when I was playing. at the end of my career. Tom Manning, who's was the offensive coordinator at Iowa State most recently, and going to be moving on to some different things now. But some guys that I got to play for, that are some really big time coaches in that sense, and learned a ton from each one of those, and their success kind of speaks for itself. And then at Bowling Green, Dave Clawson was the head coach. He's now the head coach at Wake Forest, who's their Wake Forest is rolling. They've won bowl games 7 of their last 8 years. Mike Elko, who was the D coordinator when I was at Bowling Green, he's now the head coach at Duke. Duke just won 9 games this year in his first year as a head coach there. Clark Lee was the linebackers coach when I was at Bowling Green. He's now the head coach at Vanderbilt. Wow. He's turning around that program in 2 years. So some really good coaches that I was able to learn from there, and really learned, a different aspect of than the Mountain Union tree when I was there. And then, just my time at Austin P, Scotty Walden, he's going to be a big time head football coach, and he's a brilliant offensive mind, but an even better person, a great Christian man that does things the right way. And, the lessons that I learned the last 2 years from him, just, I can, truly say that I'm a better person all around, from those last 2 years of being around that, that's the staff that we had there. And so been very blessed to be around a lot of good people to learn from, and to mold my style of coaching. And so excited to get to take over the reins though of my own, and make my own mark.
That's awesome. And I know Coach Karras is retired now, so if he wants to come out of retirement and join the Louisville staff, we can try to find a spot for him if he's open to that. So Coach Karras, if you listen to us, I think we can do that for you.
No doubt.
Now, as excited as I am to talk to you tonight, take us back 6 weeks ago as a defensive coordinator at Austin P. 6 weeks ago, you were battling down in Tuscaloosa against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Mm-hmm. What was that like, being across the sidelines and looking at a living legend like Nick Saban, or game planning for the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young? Like, kind of take us to that afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a great experience to go down to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and just the tradition that's at the University of Alabama, and that stadium, was really cool to experience. And I got to take my son down there, and we got some pictures together on the field and 50-yard line, and that's that obviously be able to cherish those memories for forever of him get to experience that as well. But going to that deal, I mean, obviously as an FCS program, you got to sometimes those games they pay for your season as an FCS team. But one of the things that I learned at Austin P, and that Coach Walden, his mentality, and and this is the way we operated at Mount Union too, is that we're never going to prepare to lose a game. So, I know it's Alabama and they got a bunch of 5-star recruits, but, there was not a tone that changed in that week of preparation. There wasn't a lesser bit of practice that we did, or any more bit of practice, or less film, or whatever. We're going to prepare for opponents the same way, and we're going to expect to win. We know the challenges that are going to be at hand, but, it's fun to get to compare yourself to the best. And, like Bill O'Brien's the offensive coordinator and Bryce Young's the quarterback, and they're obviously a very, very good play caller and quarterback, and there's guys all over the place. But we went in there with a game plan to win the game, and to put our players in position to be successful. And we gave up 34 points, but that was the lowest amount of points that Alabama has ever scored against an FCS opponent since they started keeping track of that in 1978, I think. So not to say that's a great job. We want to win a game, and we're not going to be satisfied with losses. But obviously there's different challenges when you play different opponents. But it was a really good experience, and you get to gauge yourself against the best. So that was fun.
That's pretty cool. So now we've talked a lot about your successes. I mean, there's been, national championships, you name it. It's been wonderful to kind of reminisce and talk about those. But, as you go from being an assistant head coach, defensive coordinator at the Division I FCS level, which the FCS, for those at home who aren't as familiar, that's the artist formerly known as Division I AA. So to give you an idea. So, but like going from that, what do you think the biggest challenge is from going from that, that level of a college coach to now being the head coach of a high school program?
Well, I mean, obviously in the college level, you get to pick your players more obviously than at a public school. And, you're going to get the guys that are, going to be brought up through your feeder systems. And so I think, you gotta develop players no matter what level you're at. But I think at the high school level, that's going to start at an earlier age. And I think, you want to develop a championship program at the high school level. That's going to start with the feeder programs of, the Little Leopards and how good a coaching are those guys getting, and how interested are they in football at the varsity level, and they grow up, and how present are our players and the coaches in seeing those guys develop. That's that. I think as a foundational level, there's some carryover there in terms of developing your players to build a championship program. But it's obviously done. It's going to be done at a longer pace with a further sight forward. But also there's you have less time to prepare for whether it's practice, maybe film study. Because my days are in college are spent watching film and getting cards ready for practice, and whereas in high school you got the evenings and whatnot to try to break those things down and all that stuff. But you got other responsibilities you got to do during the day as a high school coach, and probably a little bit more limited practice time as well, because guys are playing both ways, and you're not just dividing up offensive and defensive. So there's going to be a lot of challenges in that sense. But football is a simple game. I think a lot of people try to overcomplicate things a lot, and ultimately it comes down to the formula that Larry Karras has taught every coach and player that has played under him. But it's a formula of players, formations, and plays. Who are the best players, right? And identifying the best 11 players to put on the field at once, and then who are the top players that are going to change the game for you. What formations you're going to get into to put those players in position to make plays, and then what plays you're going to call. What offensive plays, defensive plays, coverages, blitzes. Yes, there's different challenges, but at the end of the day, football is football. And, there's a lot of really good high school football coaches out there that I've clinicked with in my time as a college coach and learned from. So I know high school players can handle college level schematics, and we're going to push the envelope as much as we can to really try to challenge these guys, because there's going to be a championship expectation and championship standard. And there's going to be a way that we carry ourselves and that we approach games and we approach preparation, not just from football standpoint, but like I talked about academically and socially and spiritually. I think these guys they're going to come out with, real strong foundations that are going to carry them for a long time after they leave Louisville High School.
Awesome. Leaders set the tone. The pace of the pack is determined by the leader of the pack. What do you, as now the leader of this Louisville Leopard program, what kind of tone do you want to set, this being your first day on the job? What do your players need to know? What does this community need to know in terms of what the product they're going to see on the field? Obviously, we're not talking X's and O's and whether you're running the wing T or 5 wide, that type of stuff. But what's the tone that's going to be set for a Chris Kappas led Louisville Leopard football program?
Yeah, we're going to play. We're going to play a brand of football that is fearless, fast, and physical. We're going to put a product on the field of players that are going to go out and play the game the right way with class, but play a violent brand, that are going to go out and be well coached, represent the community well, represent the school well, represent our families well. And then we're going to put our players in a position to be successful. And I know sometimes you're going to have good teams, sometimes you're going to have some subpar teams of the classes that come through, but you can expect that we're, as a coaching staff, going to get the most out of our players, and they're going to play extremely hard, and they're going to play for the guy next to them, as a unified group of guys that understand what they stand for, what our program stands for, and understand that football is a vehicle that's going to help them reach the next level of their life, whether that's going into work and pursuing a career right out of high school, or going into college as a student, or going into play college football or another college sport. But the standards are going to be very high. We're not going to accept anything less than the best out of each and every individual player. And, we're going to demand that they buy into the vision that this program has. And at the end of the day, championships and wins, like those are just a result of a daily process and a daily chase of, the goals that you set for the program. And, as long as we're doing the things that we need to do every single day as a coaching staff, and putting these kids in a good position to succeed on the field, and then demanding that they're gonna, whatever paper they turn in and they put their name on it, that better be something they have some pride in, and it's, so just that's going to carry over to the academics. That's going to carry over to serving the community. And, we're going to provide them with opportunities to grow.
Yep.
Right. And, I think, we talked about before we got on here, adversity.
Yep.
Right. And, we're going to learn how to handle adversity. There's going to be a lot of adversity on and off the field with these guys, but, also they got to learn how to handle success. Cause I think that's one of the things that people always ask, what's the difference in the program at Mount Union? Like what's the secret? And ultimately, like, people that play and coach at Mount Union understand how to handle success.
Yeah.
And success, when you understand how to handle success, it's going to breed more success. And when you have that high standard and you have that high expectation continuously, and you don't allow yourself to kind of take a step back and relax after you do experience some success, that's when special things can happen. As well as also obviously being able to handle adversity, in many different forms. So
it's interesting you say that about handling success, because I remember reading a book, Jack Nicklaus book, actually. And I remember that the reporter asked him, aren't you afraid to lose? And he's like, he made the comment, I'm not afraid to win. And the reporter goes, well, don't you mean afraid to lose? And he goes, no, afraid to win, because anybody can lose. That's the easy thing. Winning's the hard part, because when you win, you become the standard. And I was never afraid to be the standard. And that sounds like that's a mentality at Mount Union. That's a mentality that you kind of take with yourself. And that's pretty sweet.
That's it. And it's, it's not all sunshine and roses, but our players they'll get sick of me telling them this, but failure is growth.
Yep.
Right. I mean, and you have to have a mindset that any obstacle thrown your way is an opportunity to grow in whatever area that comes at you. So, if you have a positive attitude in that sense and have that mindset, then, you can really achieve some things that I think a lot of people would be surprised at.
Amen to that. And I think that mentality's worked out pretty well at Mount Union.
Absolutely.
I think it worked out all right for Jack Nicklaus, and I'm excited to see how it works out here at Louisville. So now, last question. As excited as we are to have you here, obviously a National Coach of the Year, national titles, done some great things. How excited are you? What are you most looking forward to personally as you get ready to take over this program?
Yeah. I've been preparing to be a head coach for a long time. It's something that, as an assistant coach, you always say, well, I think I would do it this way whenever I'm a head coach. And, so I've always kept notes and kept mental, tidbits of some things that I really like, some things I didn't like, of all the places that I've been. And like I said, I've had the opportunity to work under a lot of really, really good coaches that, our style is going to be a blend of a lot of those people. But, getting the opportunity to do it my way, and, with a lot of ways to do things that are time tested and proven that they're going to be successful. But, I think it's just very exciting. I think it's just the opportunity to really, put a whole program together, as opposed to just having your position or having one side of the ball. And, I think my experiences coming up through the ranks of, being able to call plays on all three sides of the ball, and really going through, really three coaches that were first time, like when Larry Karras retired, I was on the staff when Vince took over, first time head coach. So I got to see his growing pains and go through that with him. Then when Vince left and Jeff Dart took over, I was there through those first couple months of his transition, and he's a great friend of mine, and we communicated through that throughout his first years. And then, when we got to Austin Peay in 2020, Scotty Walton, he had been a head coach at a Division III level, but that was his first Division I head football job. And, being there as his assistant head coach and being the guy that he really leaned on a lot, I was able to go through those growing pains with him and really get to help, make some decisions from behind the scenes, help guide some decisions that, were fun. So I'm just excited, for the challenges. I know there's going to be a lot of things that blindside you as a first time head coach, but you try to get out ahead of those things, and I'm just excited for the opportunity.
Well, Chris, we're great. We're very happy. We're very excited to have you here in Louisville, and it's just a pleasure to get to interview again the 17th man to ever hold the position of head coach here at Louisville in this rich tradition. And Chris, welcome to Louisville.
Thanks so much.
So, well, I tell you what, player-driven program, attention to detail, clear vision, fast and furious. If you're not watching this interview and not ready to go out and tackle somebody on the football, then you need to get your pulse checked, I guess. So, but Chris, we're excited to have you. We're excited to have you here at the Lair. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview as much as I did, and I hope you have a good night, and go Leopards.
That's all the time we have for tonight's breaking news of Coach Chris Kappas becoming the newest head coach for the Louisville Leopard football program. We at the Strike Media Network want to hear from you. If there's a need that you have or something going on in your community that you'd like to see on the news, please reach out and let us know. We're here for you, your families, and your community to promote positive news, weather, sports, and stories. No news is too big or too small. Again, I'm Tegan Evans, and this is the Strike Media Network.